All right. So we should probably address where we've been. As you
Yeah,
can see right now, Sebastian is
I've actually escaped the Matrix.
he's escaped the
Yeah, I'm
Matrix.
actually currently, yeah, at in Evergreen Terrace.
I'm a very, very jealous man. Uh, obviously,
Hey,
what's actually
Homer,
going
leave a
on,
donut for me, yeah? Thank you. Sorry. It's always eating donuts.
that crazy guy. Obviously, what's actually going on is that Sebastian can't show his location because he got sectioned
Yeah,
recently.
yeah.
Um, Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what happened was you got into a fight with a guy in Nando's because your chicken was too spicy, and you beat him up.
Yeah. Essentially, I ordered a medium and he gave me what I think was a hot. Um, so essentially, I had to, yeah, I just glassed him with a bottle of the Saka sauce. That was it.
And then you found out afterwards that he had a feeling the medium was too much for you, and he in fact gave you mild.
Actually, I found out afterwards that I'm just white, and I can't handle spice. Apparently that's a
Yeah,
thing with white people. So,
you just have a lot of white male rage. Well, it was a very important lesson for you to learn.
and they didn't have
I'm
any
proud of
mayo.
you.
So,
You thought mayo would be a bit too much of a kick for you. But I'm proud of you figured that out, and hopefully you'll be out of where you are very soon. We can
yeah, we shall see. We shall see.
maybe we'll get back to recording in person.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is real, by the way. They've sectioned me in like one of those cushion rooms,
yeah,
and everything looks a bit cartoony, but because they knew I like The Simpsons, yeah,
yeah. They wanted to give you something that like would make you feel peaceful and at home. So
exactly,
they gave you the
exactly.
Simpsons living room. Well,
Yeah,
they looked you up online, and all they could find about you was that you have a Simpsons podcast.
yeah,
They
yeah.
just gave you that.
I can't complain really because it's good use of taxpayers' money. I'm getting free
Fantastic.
meals a day.
I'm.
Like, yeah,
How many?
3 meals a day.
Oh, three. Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
What more would a man want in life? No, I'm proud of you, man. We'll figure this out and you'll come out a better man.
Hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, guys, this counts towards the Baptist community service. So we do apologize for being gone so long and very, very happy to be back. And let's just jump on in. We're tipping towards the end of
I
the
like that.
35th. Yeah, that was an accident, but a fortunate accident.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the 35th season. We're on the second last episode now. Um, so yeah, today we're covering the tipping point. Yeah, so the second last episode, the 17th episode of the 35th season overall. And Sebastian, unless there's anything you'd like to add, I'd say you jump in.
No, let's jump in. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, sweet. So yeah, we open up straight away. The family is up early for a day of doctor visits. But Bart is convinced that this is a setup for what is really the best day ever. He thinks they're going to be in a mom and dad bait and switch video where like oh, they think they're going to the doctors, but they're actually going to Krusty Land. We've seen videos like this before. They
Mm.
tell them they're going to the dentist, but they're actually going to Disneyland and stuff. All the rage these days. And they watch like a compilation of those videos where like they think they're going to get their braces done. It's actually Krusty Land. They're not actually spreading their grandma's ashes. They're going to Krusty Land. And the last one is Flanders. They think they're going to Krusty Land. He's like, no, we're actually going to church. They're like, yay! And he throws like a shirt and tie at them. Bart and Lisa are immediately ecstatic and they're like recording themselves only to realize that they actually are going to the doctors, which was obvious. I knew that was what was going to happen, but it was so
Mm.
funny. And Homer says they do a whole day of health checkups before their insurance runs out. And a montage. This episode was very reliant on montages. I felt like, but all of them were like fun.
Yeah.
And, yeah, but all of them were like fun and inventive. So I didn't
Mm.
really mind it. The first one is yeah, the family doing all their health checkups. Homer gets caught in an MRI machine. They're struggling to pull him out. Marge is getting a full body exam, and we see she has a tattoo of Timothée Chalamet on her back, which was definitely the weirdest gag in the
Yeah,
episode.
really weird. I wouldn't. I find older women that are attracted to Timothy Chalamet. It's a bit alarming. He's quite
Red
young.
flag. Hmm?
He's quite young.
I don't even mind that much if we're really going to get into this. It's like I mean he's younger than me, but he looks like a boy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and as well, like most of the things he's been in. was when he was like 20, 21. So it's like, what are you attracted to here?
I know, yeah, yeah, it's weird. It's definitely a red flag. And the weirdest gag in the episode that Marge has a tattoo on her back. Um, and yeah, the final part of the montage is we cut to Bart on a roller coaster in Krusty Land, and we pan out. It's just all in his head, and there's a psychiatrist furiously taking notes. That was a great throwback to the Krusty Land bit. I didn't think they were going to do that. That was hilarious. Anyway, we got them all coming out. Like some of them have stitches. Homer has like one of those dog casts on his head, and he's like, "Oh, what a productive and unpleasant day." And he takes the family to a Star Wars themed cafe. And as he goes to click the no tip at the cafe, the barista like starts begging him, so he just gives him a tip begrudgingly. And this is the concept of the whole episode, so it immediately makes me want to discuss it a little bit. How do you feel when someone asks you for a tip in a place like that where they fucking didn't do anything?
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah. I mean, it's a joke. I mean, tipping culture. I mean, I know a lot of our viewers slash listeners are American based, so it's normal to them. But it's
yeah,
weird. A lot of things they tip for, it's weird. But also to be asked to tip is outrageous. Like
outrageous.
if
Yeah,
you were anywhere in this country and someone was like, "Can I get a tip?" Fuck no. Sorry, hell no. Like you do not ask for a tip. It's just something
no,
you are given.
yeah, yeah. You're either giving it, you're not exactly, and I will only because I mean it's all addressed in the episode, that it's not like it's it's not like mandatory in America. It's definitely frowned upon not to give a tip. Whereas here it's like you'd only give a tip to like a waiter or a waitress if like or a bar person if their service
If they
was
were
like
really good. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And they
exactly.
have we have the service charge anyway. It's like
Yeah.
20% or whatever it is. So yeah.
Yeah, there's that, and also like we work a living wage here, whereas in America, I understand that like they're not like
Hmm.
waitresses are not making enough money to they kind of live off tips.
Yeah.
Um, but it's unfair, and like yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on the person paying for the meal. And maybe all they could afford was what they were going for, and suddenly they're
Hmm.
paying an extra 20% or whatever it is in America. I was at a cafe the last day with a buddy of mine, and they did the whole turning the iPad around, and you have an option for like 10% or 20%, and I clicked no tip, and they can see it on their end, obviously, that I did that, and she treated me differently
Oh,
afterwards,
it's
which I
not
was annoyed.
it's so silly. I see a lot of like it happens a lot in pubs now, where they have the card machine. But what I find is most of the time they like put it all through on the till, and then before you actually tap the card machine, they just press the button to cancel the tip.
Oh yeah, I respect
Yeah,
when they do that. Yeah, totally. You're like, this guy gets it.
yeah,
He understands. I'm just here for a 6 pound pint of Guinness, and that's it. I'm
exactly.
not. You didn't do anything.
Yeah,
You did the bare minimum. I'm not going to give you a tip.
yeah.
I asked for a drink and you poured me the pint. Like
I know
that's
it's
not
silly.
absolutely not worthy of a tip. Yeah, but definitely just thought it was worthy of saying what our takes are on it because that's what this episode's all about. But yeah, he begrudgingly gives the squeaky voice teen a tip for the coffee. Um, and they got them at like a self-service ice cream parlor, and the guy there is asking for it to. But Homer's like, "What self-service? You didn't do anything." And he's like, "That iPad didn't swivel itself." And it just cuts to him like frustratingly giving out more and more tips to all these different places. We then cut to the family at a restaurant. He gets out his glasses to figure out the tip. And he's like, "Oh well, it wouldn't be a meal if it didn't come with a math test." And he's outraged but relieved to see that the bill already has the service fee included in it. The waitress points out that there is also an additional gratuity option, and he designs, "No, thank you. Here's $1. Okay." And then they go to leave, and the waitress runs out, absolutely ecstatic and delighted with Homer. Um, and it turns out that because he wrote it so close to each other, it said, no thanks, here's $1. Okay. But okay was so close to the one that looks like he said, here's 10K. It's so stupid. And everyone's absolutely delighted with him. And they lift Homer up and they chant his name. We then cut to them at the house. The marriage is super stressed out. We see Homer's gone viral online. He's like, the American dream. And Marge says they'll be in debt for the rest of their lives. He's like, oh, the American reality. He says that they should report. Well, Homer says that he should report their card as missing, and they should flee to a different country and join a cult where they don't have to have sex with the leader. And Marge is like, "There's no such thing." He says that, or Homer says that he was going to go back to the restaurant anyway for the bottomless chili fries. So now he's going to go back and, refund the tip, basically. On his way there, comic book guy asks for an autograph, but signing things is what got Homer into this mess in the first place. Ian sees that he's on the cover of a newspaper with the headline, Local Man Tips on Slow News Day. Then everyone waits in anticipation to see how much he'll tip the newspaper clerk. And the sea captain puts on a raincoat in anticipation that he's going to start raining money. And Homer feels really seen in this moment, and he realizes that Mr. Monopoly was wrong. You can't put a price on money. We did cut to a montage of, and this montage was great. It had the Austin Powers music
Hmm.
playing over it. It was really really fun. Yeah, it's him. He tips a doorman in a hotel just to walk through the hotel and walk out. He tips a barista 999%, and then he gets money out from an ATM and tips the ATM. Really
See,
cuts.
with the whole tipping thing again,
Yeah.
Americans, you might have it bad with tipping, but you don't have the lollipop man in the toilets when you're at the
Oh
pub.
God. Do they definitely not have that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it seems like a very British thing. To be fair, we don't have it in Ireland, so it probably is just a thing in the UK. Yeah, no, the lollipop man in the toilet. There's nothing I hate more.
Yeah,
Yeah, good to address that since most of our listeners are American.
yeah,
What a lollipop man is you go to if you go to any pub after like say probably 10:30, 11 o'clock, you go to the bathroom. There's a man there. Um,
sounds really dodgy. There's a
dodgy as hell.
man
There's
with
a
a
man there.
lollipop in the bathroom.
It's pretty. I mean, it is kind of dodgy. It makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
There's a man there who's like all kitted out. He has like lollipops and cologne and deodorant. And if you want any of those things, you have to pay, obviously. But even if you don't want any of those things, he will, as you go to wash your hands, put the soap out for you,
yeah. Get a couple towels for you at you
get a couple of
asking.
towels for you, and then because of all that, you're expected to pay him. It's like, dude, I'm not paying you for a bunch of shit that I could have done on my own.
Literally,
As I
I
do.
yeah. It's the most uncomfortable experience because he's just
It's the
watching you,
worst.
and you have to just avoid eye contact with him because you make eye contact with him, that's it.
You're done.
It's game
You're done.
over. You've
Yeah.
got to pay him some sort of money.
Any sort of relationship. Yeah, I'm cold as fuck. When I
Yeah,
first moved here, I was super nice to them, and I'd always give them something because I didn't want to create any friction. Whereas now I'm just done with paying for anything that's not necessary for me to pay for.
yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, one of
I
those
think
things is
it's
absolutely.
extra awkward for those that like to participate in you know, taking a shopping bag to the toilet, so to speak.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I can't even imagine.
yeah, I don't understand why lollipops.
No, that's
Why
such
is
a
that a
weird one.
thing?
It's weird because they're called the Lollipop Men, but that's the thing that they have that makes the least sense to me. It's like, yeah, I can
Yeah,
understand why you'd want
cologne makes
cologne
sense.
or
I was just
deodorant,
chatting to a
fresh.
pretty woman, and now I need to get all.
Yeah, freshen yourself up. I think they sell condoms as well. But why the fuck would I want a lollipop? I've literally never seen someone in a bar. Thankfully, I've never seen someone in a bar sucking a lollipop.
No, I
It's
mean,
such a weird
again,
thing.
yeah, it's you're not going to be like, oh, I was speaking to attractive women. Maybe I'll get a lollipop. They might look. He looks like kind of looks like a toothpick. Looks kind of cool walking around
Yeah,
with a lollipop.
or even you're just chatting to your buddies and you're like, "We really go for lollipop right now." Like,
It's
who's craving
ridiculous.
lollipops over the age of 10?
Yeah, if I've had 9 pints, I'm craving a kebab, not a lollipop.
Yeah, exactly. Utterly, utterly bizarre. Yeah, that's true. The lollipop man is a pain in the ass. But yeah, Marge shows Homer all of the overdraft alerts. You see all these separate notifications, one saying overdrawn, super overdrawn, what is wrong with you? And Homer says not to worry because he can make this all go away by showing her how to turn off the notifications. Um, he says it feels good not to be judged for the content of his character, but for the content of his wallet. And he confesses that he gave away Bart's bike as a tip to his barber for cleaning up his eyebrows. And Bart says he loves him and will always be there for him. And then he tips Bart Lisa's saxophone. And Lisa's like, hey, and he's like, let this slip and there's a vacuum cleaner in it for you. we then we then cut to any addictions can be stopped. Oh yeah. Marge tells him to calm down the tip thing. He says that any addiction like this can be stopped just by saying that he's gonna stop, which is of course how to get through an addiction. We then cut to him at Moe's, and he gives Moe the exact change for his beer, and Moe's like, "That's it." And Moe tells him to take the money out, but um, don't do anything else. Just a tip. And Homer ends up just giving him $10, and he's like, "We shouldn't have done that." And Mo encourages him to keep going. He's like, "Oh, it feels so good." And then Homer's wallet explodes on him, just tons of money. And we see all of the guys, Lenny, Carol, and Barney, watching in shock. Carol's like, "I need a new bar." Very funny, stupid sequence. I had a feeling you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did.
Just the ridiculous sexual innuendos. It was very, very funny. He confesses to Mo that he's a tipomaniac and that he has to get out of there. And we then get another montage. I think the final montage now. It's like the Austin Powers music again, but it's
Mm.
like done in slow motion and like in kind of a glum way. And again, one of those things I think about, like Hans Zimmer working on the show and how this must be like such a fun thing for him to
Oh
do outside
yeah.
of what he's known for. Is he gets to just do something he never thought he would do
Yeah,
because he
he's so
would.
used to just like dramatically playing the organ. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah, Christopher Nolan music and stuff like that. And it must be cool to do something like this where it's like, okay, so in this sequence you're going to do a slow motion version of the Austin Powers theme song. It must be like, oh, class! Like, what a different
oh
thing
yeah.
for him to do, and does it absolutely perfectly. So yeah, as that music takes place, he goes back to the hotel again, but it's closed. He goes to the cafe while they're shutting up, and they reject him. And then he breaks into a pharmacy just to put money into their tip jar. We then cut to Marge, who is stressed out looking at all the bills they have to pay. And we see that Homer's even taken money out of Lisa's piggy bank and left a bunch of IOUs. Homer realizes that he's a curse in his family and that they're 22% better off without him. Great line. He's just like thinking in tips now. And then he heads to the boathouse, a boathouse where Sandy, the waitress that he tipped $10,000 to, lives. And he says that he wants to spend some time with his real family. And she's like, "Who are the people you were having dinner with?" And he's like, "Oh, that's just my wife and some kids. My real family are the people I tip." She pepper sprays him and he falls into the water. He's like, "So our transaction was just transactional?" We then cut to him waking up in a cage full of crabs and they're all pinching him. And he tips the sailor for saving his life. But the sailor tells him that where they're going, tipping is forbidden. And we got to Little Europe with their slogan, "Vote No on Little Brexit." And I thought this Little Europe location was really funny because it was like everywhere in Europe all at once.
Literally, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was really fun. It was like there was like one gag that implied it was Germany, another gag that implied it was France. I thought it was actually way more fun and inventive than if he was just in a specific location.
Hmm.
It was just broadly speaking Europe. We then cut to Marge in the kitchen. She's worried because Homer's gone missing, and Patty and Selma are setting up a dating profile for her. They take a picture of her looking sad, and she's like, "Oh, you look desperate. Guys love that." We cut to Bart and Lisa checking Homer's bank history, and they see that he bought cologne but no soap. They know exactly where he is. Obviously, the joke there is like it's France, and
Yeah.
we cut to Homer walking around with a beret and a baguette, looking all proud of himself. And the kids run up to him and he says that he's on his way to five different shops to buy the ingredients to make one sandwich. The shops for Maggio, obviously for the cheese, Broad Boutique for the bread, Mustardi, Mustardari for the mustards, Bratwurstladen for the sausages, and Carniceria for the for the carving knife.
Iconic Homer outfit, by the way.
Oh, so good. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Just like how
And
cocky and proud he is in the
you
outfit
know,
too.
I, England and like the UK and Ireland and stuff aren't
Yeah.
that European. Like they're very much like in between, like a bit European, a bit like Western American kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like I can agree, like I remember when I went to Italy in the south of Italy,
Mm.
there's like no supermarkets. And like it got me thinking, like, how do people like get food ingredients? And it's like they literally have to go. It's like all these different places to get ingredients.
Mental.
The thing is, the more convenience we have, the worse our food has become. Like, yeah, you
Mm.
have to go to all these places, but think about how nice their food is. It makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah. Obviously, if you're specializing in bacon, let's say, then you have the best bacon and the freshest bacon. And like it's not whatever they get that day, they probably sell it on the day and then throw it away.
Yeah,
So yeah, like it's not processed or anything. So yeah, it must be delicious, but I'm sure it's also more expensive than it going to a
most
supermarket.
likely. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it still sounds like a nice life you can afford it, just like the freshest products.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, they say that Homer says he's fallen in love with the European mindset of not tipping, and he starts singing a Eurovision-esque song about how you don't have to tip in Europe, and ends up making a good point within the song about how um, in Europe we get paid a living wage, which helps to stop income disparity between front and back of staff. Um, which I always think about. It must be very frustrating for like chefs
Oh yeah.
not getting tipped when they're doing, I would say, the most important work
Oh
over what
yeah.
the waiter is
And
doing.
sometimes harder work.
Oh
Like
yeah, obviously, most of the time.
customer facing is difficult, but like
Yeah,
being a chef on a busy night, oof.
exactly. Yeah, incredibly stressful. But yeah, I thought the song was brilliant. Very different for The Simpsons. It's like a European kind of area, Eurovision vibe to it. Lisa says he should come back home and bring these policies to Springfield. And Homer's like, you really think Americans could learn something from Europe? And Bart's like, not just learn, but steal and call it our own. Like pizza or fascism. He says they'll grab an early dinner at 10 p.m. and then ride the mini shuttle back to Springfield. We then cut to the Servers of America Guild Awards. And Homer knocks over the presenter and he goes, friends, waiters, pepper grinders, lend me your ears, which is like a parody of a monologue from Julius Caesar. And he raises them a question about how better it could be if all restaurants workers were paid a living wage, and they cheer him on and celebrate the abolishment of tips. And we see like Chief Wiggum breaking a tip jar, and they're all cheering. We see that was all just in Homer's head. They're all actually booing at him. And one of the waitresses says this is the worst thing to happen in the industry since table aside guacamole. And they said tips is how they decide whose food they're going to spit in. When it cut to, they start attacking Homer. But then cut to after the award show is over, he's like sitting at the edge of the stage, looking super upset that he didn't fundamentally change the service economy with one award show speech. And Marge realizes how they can confront Homer's generosity with his addiction to tipping. And we cut to him working as a waiter, and he's trying to take Agnes and Principal Skinner's order, but they just ask for more tap water and free bread. And that concludes, and obviously the way he's going to make the money back is by
Yeah.
working as a waiter. Which I thought was a fun little detail of wrapping up how he's going to get out of that debt. It
Hmm.
makes sense for Homer because he works
Of
every job.
course.
Yeah, but yeah, I thought this was a super fun episode. Yeah, as
Yeah,
always.
it was all right. It
And
was all
you,
right.
yeah,
It was all right.
yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. It wasn't spectacular, but just fun, enjoyable.
So yeah, I mean, I was a little bit sort of like mixed on the episode.
Okay,
It's been a while.
it has. There's a slight bias there. I was just happy to see The Simpsons again.
Yeah, and do you know
Yeah.
what? I enjoyed the like satire on tipping culture. I thought it was fairly accurate.
Yeah.
Um, I felt that I enjoyed the sort of creativity of the montage and everything,
Mm.
slightly overdone, and I felt like it was sort of used as a gap filler.
The
For
montages.
yeah, for a lot of the
Yeah,
episode.
I hear that.
It's like shit. We need to show Homer doing all this stuff really quick. All right, yeah,
Mm.
let's do it. Let's do a montage. We can't fit that. I would have appreciated a more creative route rather than 3 or 4 different montages throughout the
Sure.
episode.
Yeah.
Um, the humor was good in parts, but sometimes I felt it was like lacking and it was a bit predictable.
Mm.
And I would sort of say it was quite a forgettable episode. It's not one I would really watch again unless it was on TV. Um,
Yeah. At the same time, it's not one I would turn off if it was
Yeah,
on
of
TV.
course. Yeah.
Yeah,
But obviously, I resonate with the sort of relevance of it. And
definitely.
there were moments with the humor that were really good. And I did enjoy the sort of like juxtaposition and different locations and the creativity of the animation in that aspect. So
Yes.
for me, 6.5.
6.5?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, fair enough. I don't disagree with anything you just said, but I definitely liked it a little bit more than you, I guess. I gave it a 7.5. I thought it was just good fun. I said the opposite of you about the montage. Just like I can understand why you would feel that way, but I thought all of them
Mm.
were inventive and well done enough that it wasn't distracting.
Yeah.
Um, I thought it was just a classic example of that thing we always love, where Homer is just making something his entire personality. I thought it was a good example of one of those type of episodes.
Mm.
We just love seeing Homer get
We
obsessed with
do love
anything.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Um, I thought the star was unnecessary. That was my biggest complaint. The stuff in the doctor's
Hmm.
office. It just didn't naturally lead to the tipping stuff.
Completely agreed. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
really know how it got from that to tipping. Yeah.
But I know how, but it just felt
Well,
a bit contrived and
yeah.
possibly filler. It was just like they went to the doctor's office and he was like, "Oh, I'll give you a treat for doing your health checkups." And they went to a restaurant, and then the tipping stuff happened, but it just wasn't natural enough. That progression
You
was
literally could
like
have started the episode with the
at
10K
the
tip.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, at the restaurant, and spread out the main storyline a bit more. I thought would have been fine. There's plenty of examples where what happens at the beginning of the episode and where it leads are so different, but there's always a natural way that progresses into
Hmm.
it. Like the episode we're about to review next does that, when they
Of
go to the book
course.
fair.
Yeah.
But even though it's so different what the main plot ends up being, it does happen naturally. It didn't
Hmm.
happen naturally here, and it made the doctor's visit thing just totally feel like filler.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
if it was good fun, it just felt like they were wasting time. That was my biggest criticism. And I just said, not too different what you just said. There really nothing substantial happens in the episode, but I didn't mind.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's
Of
making
course.
interesting commentary and point, but like plot wise and character wise, like nothing big, nothing unexpected ever really happens. But I had a good time. I didn't
Hmm.
really mind,
Yeah,
you
it's a
know?
good time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, totally. Sweet. Yeah, as always, let's jump into our next segment, the news.
Yes, we shall.
So yeah, a few pieces of fun news this week. Two related to Hank Azaria, one of the best
Mm.
voice actors on the show, in my opinion. He had a video that went viral um, regarding. I recommend watching. It's only like 5 minutes long. Very interesting. It's an interview he did with the New York Times where they tested out a AI software where if he talks to the AI as Mo, could the AI then do a realistic impression of Mo? Um, and the result of this, it's not great, but it's close enough that it scares him. And he kind of like explores the possibility of like, could AI someday take his job? So it becomes an interesting commentary on such a taboo topic and kind of a scary topic. So definitely recommend checking it out. A lighter thing related to Hank Azaria, something I found very interesting, is he revealed in an interview, developing a one-man show kind of set for like, I guess, Broadway or something like that, where he will address his alcoholism, his recovery, and the controversy surrounding Apu, who he used to voice. So sounds like something that could be really, really super interesting
Interesting. Yeah. I'm
show.
intrigued
Yeah.
to see what he makes of Apu if he decides to go down the woke route or yeah, if he just lives it and it's like is what it is.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. How does he
yeah.
tackle it? Yeah, I'll be really, really intrigued to hear that. And yeah, the final piece of news, very, very happy to hear this, is that best St. Patrick's Day ever. Simpsons season 36 will begin streaming on Disney Plus on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh,
Yeah, coming out significantly March 17th, but I should say. It wasn't advertised as St. Patrick's Day, that just happens to be St. Patrick's Day. Um, but yeah, very exciting. A lot earlier than they usually bring it out. It's coming out before the season's even done,
it'd be
which
great if the opening episode was like a St. Patrick's Day themed episode. They
would
just
be, but
have a
no,
piss up at Noah's.
that would be sick, yeah, but no, it's not. Season the first episode of season 36 is already out. It's that one I told you about that it was
Yeah,
Russian, like it could be the last episode of the show.
yeah.
Um, yeah, which is fantastic. I look forward to reviewing that on the podcast. But yeah, yeah, some fun pieces of news. Let's jump into Seb's classics then.
Hey, let's go. Everybody's favorite time of the show. Um,
Indeed, yeah.
so yeah, I went for a season 12 episode. Fairly, untalked about episode. I went
I think
for
so. Yeah, underlooked. Yeah.
yeah,
Again, one of those episodes that I just forget
of
about, and
course.
like the moment you sent to me, I was like, "Oh yeah, I love that episode," but it's
Yeah,
one that
the
would
sort of
leave
the
your
ones I'm
brain.
trying to go for.
Mm.
So
And
yeah, it's
I think
just
season 12 has a lot of those
oh
episodes,
for
really.
sure.
Yeah.
So I
'Cause
went
it's that,
for yeah, go ahead.
sorry, yeah, it's that point where like a lot of people would start discounting the show and saying like, "Oh, it's not as good as it used to be." But season 12 in particular, I think, has a lot of
Phenomenal.
gems.
Yeah,
This is
it's
one of them
phenomenal.
for sure.
So
Yeah.
yeah, this was Insane Clown Poppy.
Mm.
So Krusty, a long lost daughter,
Yep.
Sophie, for a one night stand with a soldier during the Gulf War.
Yeah.
Initially, Krusty tries to connect with her, but he's irresponsible and his selfish nature makes it difficult. Sophie, voiced by Drew Barrymore, is
Yes. Very
initially
well.
excited to bond with her father, but becomes
Hmm.
disappointed when he gambles away her treasured violin, which was a
Yes.
heirloom but from her mother in a poker game with the mobster Fat Tony, our favorite.
Ah, I love him so
Of
much. And it's a great business episode. Yeah.
course, determined to get it back, Krusty enlists Homer to help steal the violin from Fat Tony's mansion. However, the thing goes awry, leading to a chaotic showdown. And in the end, despite Krusty's flaws, Sophie sees a glimmer of goodness in him, leaving the episode on a somewhat hopeful note.
It does. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
enjoy my
Yeah.
summary there?
That's a nice quick little summary of the whole episode. Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, I would like to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, yeah, I really like it, as I said. I think it's a great character building episode for Krusty, how he's reluctant about the daughter at first and how he kind of
Mhm.
grows to learn and care about her and then does something very selfish and Krusty like thing through his character. But ultimately really, really sweet. Just to go back to the Gulf of War bit,
Yeah,
that joke went over my head before. Maybe I'm more savvy to comedy terms, but the woman who ends up being the mother of his daughter like goes out to assassinate Saddam Hussein, and Krusty's like, "Hey, don't kill him. He's 30 minutes of my act, or
yeah,
he's half my act." And then she goes to shoot him. He stops her from it, and he's like, "Ah, thank God my baseball joke is safe." It's so utterly selfish. I'm guessing during this period, Saddam Hussein was still alive. Like he prevents the assassination of like a man who was a threat to America
literally
because he wouldn't be able to tell his jokes about him anymore. So good,
amazing. I respect it.
absolutely hilarious.
Anything for comedy, I respect it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, in some ways, I saw eye to eye with what he was
Yeah.
going through. Yeah.
So,
Um.
yeah, so it's a decent episode.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't quite reach the emotional heights of a parent themed episode like Lisa's Substitute or Mother
Mm.
Simpson. Drew
No.
Barrymore does a solid job voicing Sophie, and her
Yeah.
character provides an interesting dynamic for Krusty, showing a more personal side of him beyond his usual clown antics.
Yes.
The humor in this episode at times is hit or miss. Some moments, like the absurd poker game and Homer's involvement in the heist, provide some great laughs.
Mm.
However, the storyline does feel somewhat rushed, and the emotional beats don't land as effectively as they could have. Krusty's selfishness, while true to his character, made it hard to root him at times. So the
Sure.
resolution feels underdeveloped. So that was my
Mm.
only sort of critique of the episode: is if we're making a father-child episode and we want it to hit home, I think you need to switch up Krusty a bit there. Completely appreciate you need to be true to his character, but I think that's why
Yeah.
it didn't quite hit as hard.
Yeah, I hear that. What you just said about it being true to his character is kind of why I wasn't bothered by it as much. You know, yeah,
Mm,
like yeah, admittedly, it's not as hard hitting in the parent aspect as like you gave a perfect example there. Mother Simpson, Lisa's Substitute is another example. It definitely isn't as hard hitting as those episodes, but I think at his core, Krusty is a much more selfish character, and he also just met his daughter.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't mind it didn't get as heartfelt. He redeems himself at the end, but it's not like it doesn't get too mushy. But I didn't mind. You think it's going to be an episode about his relationship with his daughter. What it ends up being is like a Krusty and Homer adventure, which I don't mind at
Of course,
all.
yeah. Like it's still hilarious and it's still a
Mhm.
solid episode. I just, you know me, I've got to find some critique somewhere.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
But yeah, no, overall, I'd probably give it an 8.5 out of 10. Still a great
Yeah,
episode.
that's exactly what I gave it as well,
Yeah.
8.5. Yeah, I think it's a fun episode. And just to mention that as well, I think underrated duo, Krusty and Homer.
Oh,
I thought,
yeah.
yeah, like,
Considering they are more or less the same person visually, just with different
yeah.
hair and makeup.
Maybe that's why they avoid showing them together as much. But I think they're great together.
Yeah.
They balance each other out in a weird way because Homer is an idiot but with a good soul. Krusty's kind of stupid but with like a very tortured soul. So their
Yeah.
dynamic together is very very fun. I loved the whole sequence of them playing poker with Fat Tony, and Krusty's like bragging about how his daughter is so smart that when he went to get her nose, she didn't even fall for it. And then Homer's like, my uncle still has my nose.
Yeah.
And then he gives them the violin because he lost in poker. And one of Fat Tony's guys is like trying to weigh out how much it costs. He's like, it's not worth much, but it does have sentimental value. So they take it for that reason.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
stupid. And then the whole sequence of them breaking into Fat Tony's house, his mansion, to get the violin back is absolutely fantastic. When they're like on the telephone wires and they're
Hmm.
like about to fall down, like so close to Fat Tony's I don't know what you'd call them, like his goons, and one of them's like, "Hey, there's a solar eclipse tonight. We should look up." And the other one's like, "Oh no, I'm only into lunar eclipses. So they don't look up." It's so dumb. Um, and Fat Tony's like leading a meeting, and we cut to the very end of the meeting. He's like, "So it's final. Our website shall be called crime.org." So many dumb jokes like
Yeah.
that. Or I think that they be laugh out loud the most is they break into Fat Tony's bedroom and they see there's a bunch of briefcases shaped like a violin briefcase. So they think one of them must be theirs, obviously. But they all have money in it, so they're like going searching for the violin. And Homer's like, I know what to do. We just see a vent and it pans out and the vent is like now on his ass. He's like, well, that didn't work.
It's
It
like,
made no
yeah,
sense.
they're like stupid jokes that are actually really smart.
Yeah, totally. They're well
Yeah.
written. It's so dumb. Like, how would him going through the vent even have helped them find the violin? It made no sense. And the final bit of the episode made me laugh out loud. Where like he gets the violin back to his daughter, and they had that nice little moment where they hug and everything. And she says, "Oh, maybe you're a good guy after all." And then it just cuts to Fat Tony's goons chasing after Homer. And he's like, "I'm sorry," and they just stop like, "Oh well, if you're sorry, then fair enough." He's like, "Sorry, you're such jerks." And they start chasing after him. It's so dumb. Yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying. That's not as heartfelt as maybe it could have been, but it
Hmm.
was just so consistently funny to me that I
Yeah.
didn't really mind. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
I feel you. Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, definitely agree what you said as well. That Drew Barrymore voices her fantastically. Definitely kind of fits. Her voice already sounds kind of childlike. She's doing it a
Hmm.
little higher pitched in her real voice, obviously. Um, But yeah, it does it really well. Interestingly, they brought the character back a few times after this. It
Mm.
wasn't ever voiced by Drew Barrymore again afterwards. It's voiced by Natasha Lyonne instead, who you might know from American Pie or
Mm.
Russian Doll. Totally different voice to Drew Barrymore. Weird choice. I don't know why she never came back. But yeah, wonderful episode. Regardless, sweet. Let us move over to Keep It Short. And I'm now realizing that I never
Hey.
sent you the Keep It Short
Yes,
this
I
week.
unfortunately have not seen Keep It Short. I have seen one thing keeping it short, and that's Dylan Harris. Ladies and gentlemen.
He's seen it many times just to be reaffirmed. Because one day I was pretty sure I had it had gone up a little bit, and you waited and you realized that it was actually somehow had gotten
He
smaller.
actually, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
factually.
that was quite an embarrassing moment for me.
Mm.
But yes, so keep it short. I will describe the whole one this time because you haven't seen it. I apologize. I just forgot to send it to you. This whole process of switching over to doing it remotely, I just forgot. But yeah, next time you'll watch it. But this one was called Perfect Crime. Sorry, just to describe for people who might be listening for the first time. This segment, every episode, we cover a different Tracy Ullman show, Simpsons short. So this one is the 17th one overall. It's called The Perfect Crime. It aired December 13th, 1987. Worth mentioning that's 2 years before the actual show would premiere, which was in December 1989. Um, so you see Marge telling Bart not to fuss, not to touch her fresh batch of cookies. Um, but he's so tempted to go for it. When Marge turns away, he grabs one immediately and it like scalds his hand. And the animation is so crude, like it like becomes really bloated and red and very like old school Matt Groening animation fashion. And then he urges Maggie to eat a cookie, saying that she won't be caught. Um, and then Marge immediately enters and she flings the cookie up into the air. Um, we then cut to Bart just devouring all of them. And he says that he'll say that it's Maggie, because no one will know since she can't talk. And as he's eating the cookies, his face gets bigger and bigger. It's
Mhm.
again just like super crude, and as I've said, like not true to what the show would end up being animation wise, just like going against its own rules. But obviously, the rules aren't established yet. And their final bit is Homer coming home from work, looking forward to the cookies, and obviously always have to do my old school Homer voice. He goes, do I smell cookies?" And he looks down at the tray and sees they're all gone. He's like, "Where's the cookies, boy?" And Maggie points towards Bart's room, and they walk upstairs, and they see he's just lying on his bed with a huge fat stomach, and he says, "I guess there is no perfect crime." And that's the end of the sketch. Yeah, it was a pretty solid one actually. Again, my standard for these sketches aren't high, as the same as you. Because once they have like a story and an arc that like has a beginning, middle, and end, I appreciate that because a lot of them don't. So this one had an arc to it, so I just appreciate enough that it was trying to do
Mm.
something within 2 minutes. And it's like closer to who Bart will become. Like he's being cheeky and everything, and trying
Mhm.
to find inventive ways to eat the cookies without Marge finding out. So yeah, it was a fun, quick little
Where's
short for
my
sure.
cookies, boy?
Where's my cookies, boy? God, love that voice. But yeah, cool. Let's jump over to 10 questions then.
Ooh.
Oh boy,
Oh,
I'm
have I got
excited.
one for you this week?
I missed this one very much. Have you got one for me this week?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm excited. Okay, or I'm nervous. Maybe. Let's find out.
All right. Let me get them up on Simpsons Wiki just to make sure I've got
Not
no
getting any
mistakes
facts
here.
wrong. Yeah, sure.
All
You got
right.
it.
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead.
sweet. Do you want to explain what this segment is, just in case?
Oh yeah, of course. For those
Yeah.
new people watching or anyone that may have forgot, Dylan
Hmm.
has 10 questions to guess the Simpsons character I'm thinking of. He essentially on his 11th guess, he gets 10 guesses, and the 11th has to be the final answer. But
Yeah.
he can use a guess in the meantime to figure out the character.
Indeed, yeah, perfectly summed up. Yes. So, as I always ask at the beginning, just in case, is it a member of the family?
No.
No. Is it a woman?
Yes.
Is it an adult woman?
Yes.
Okay. Is she in multiple episodes?
Yes.
Yes. Not in the family. It's an adult woman. Is she married to a character who we see more than her?
No.
No. Is she married at all?
No.
Shit.
She
Um,
has an ex-boyfriend
She has an ex-boyfriend.
who is not very prevalent in the show.
Oh man.
I think he was in one episode.
Oh, man. It's a character we've seen in multiple episodes. Oh, and it's a woman. Oh, okay. I have 4 questions left and I'm not getting close here. Um, Is she related to any member of the family?
No,
No. Let me see her model episodes. Ooh, Edna Krabappel?
no,
Hmm. Adult woman. Would we associate the character best through Homer?
no one.
No one
You wouldn't really,
associate her with a
yeah,
family member. What? Adult woman. Crazy cat lady.
correct. AKA Eleanor Abernathy. And I didn't know this.
She was a
Distant
lawyer.
distant cousin is Otto.
Oh, I didn't know that either. I don't know
Yeah.
when
And
that's been revealed. Probably a
obviously,
background gag.
yeah, her ex boyfriend is Crazy Dog Man.
Crazy Dog Man, that was definitely a one-stop gag as well.
Yeah,
Thank God I got that. I mean, I kind of narrowed it down really because was that my last guess?
it was.
Nice.
Well, actually, that was
Yeah.
number 10. So you had another question.
I had another question. Hey, I got it early. It helped that I found out early on that it was a woman, and
Of
it helped that
course.
I asked related to the family. Um, and then I asked Edna. So once I said all that, I got, Patty and Selma and Marge's mom out of the way. I also asked if she was married to somebody that we know better. You said no, so that got like,
Of
Helen
course.
Lovejoy, Sarah Wiggum, all of them out of the way, Maud Flanders. So then my only option at the end there was Gracie Cat Lady. So
Nice. Yeah, you narrowed it down well.
I narrowed it
That's
down
a
well
really
and like
tough one.
just in time. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's really
nicely
tough.
done. Yeah, nicely done. All right, let's jump over to recommendations then. All
Yeah.
right, our first ever virtual rock paper scissors.
Yeah. Ready?
Sweet. So, absolutely. Rock, paper, scissors. Let's go again. Rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors.
Oh my gosh.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Hey.
Hey, nice. All right.
All
A
right.
rare victory for Sebastian Sanger, the first ever virtual. Maybe you're better at it virtually.
Potentially. Could
Well,
be a
yeah,
thing.
time will tell. Yeah. All right. Yeah. What's your first recommendation then?
Yeah. So my first recommendation this week is a show called it's actually quite new on Netflix and it's an anime.
Anime.
And I mean, I was going to say people know me, but people here don't really know me that well. Um, I
Yeah.
like anime, but I'm very picky with it because a lot of
Sure.
anime
Yeah. I think you mentioned that
is
before.
yeah, a lot of anime is a bit dodgy, a
Sure.
bit questionable, bit
Hmm.
annoying. I'm very picky. It has to like tick certain boxes for me. So
Yeah.
there's a new anime out and it's airing on Netflix. The episode is still coming out every Saturday, and it's
Hmm.
called Sakamoto Days. And
Yeah.
essentially, think of John Wick as an anime. So
Okay.
washed up hitman, even more so washed up um,
Hmm.
hitman, where people are coming back to find him, essentially. Yeah, and it's just unbelievably good. It ticks all the emotional boxes, it ticks the comedy boxes. It's got a great feel to it. The animation's great. It's a heartwarming show. Sort of show you watch, and as soon as you get into the new episode, it's like, oh, I'm back. You know,
Nice. Okay.
yeah, really good. Recommend it to those anime fans, cartoon fans. Yeah.
Sweet. Yeah. Sounds like my cup of tea for sure. I like the John Wick comparison. It's
Mm.
called Sakamoto Samurai.
Days, days, Sakamoto
Days. Sorry.
days. Yeah.
Sakamoto Days. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds great. Yeah. I'll add to my watch list for sure. Like the biggest thing for me with animes is like there's a lot of ones that you hear people talk about a lot that are meant to be great, like One Piece or Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. But it's so much of a commitment. There's just so
Oh,
much
yeah,
seasons,
yeah, yeah.
and each season has like more episodes than a season of The Simpsons. And
Of
it's just like it's
course.
too much. It's demanding too much of my time. Like when I hear about one like this, where like it doesn't seem like it has a lot of episodes, I'm more inclined to go for it if I like the setup
Yeah,
because
for
it's not
sure.
like going to eat all of my time. I can finish it in a week or something, you
Exactly.
know.
Yeah.
Um, so that I love, yeah. My first recommendation is Spielberg. A fantastic documentary that HBO did about Steven Spielberg in 2017. Did you see The Fablemans?
I never watched it. I know
No, you
it's
know the
obviously about
concept.
him. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's about his personal life, growing up with his kind of troublesome, dysfunctional family and stuff like that. Interestingly, this came out before The Fablemans and gets into it, you know, in kind of a deeper way, just because he's actually talking about the real life events rather than like creating a fictional version of it. Um, that's a part of it. Obviously, it mainly covers his film career. And Steven Spielberg is like, the most iconic director of all time. So he's something you can look at now and like in your head he's like unbeatable and he's always had it easy. But obviously he fought to get to where he is now and it just shows that whole journey. It's really inspiring how he just like never gave up, always had an insane passion for film and like had many, many years where he was just like, shacking it up with George Lucas, Martin Scorsese, and stuff like that. All that era of directors, I'm so fascinated by. I think the Brats, they were called the movie Brats. Um, the three of them and Brian De Palma, Francis Ford Coppola. There was just years where they were just like making independent films and short movies and stuff like that, and weren't managing to make a living off it, but just kept doing it because they're just so passionate about movies. And it gets into that whole phase of his life, and it actually crazy that every single person in that group ended up becoming
Oh
like
yeah.
the most iconic directors of all the time. But yeah, it's really inspiring, and it's I know it's cliche to. I feel people listen to this and be like, "Oh, he likes Steven Spielberg. What a hot take!" But like, it inspired me and like made me appreciate him on a greater level than I ever had before. Like,
Of
the
course.
most fascinating part of the documentary for me was when he's making Schindler's List. At that point, he's a really established director. He's done, E.T. and Jaws and the Indiana Jones movies, so he has like a very established style. He does family action adventure kind of movies, and he took such a big risk with Schindler's List, and he actually shot the whole thing handheld, which I found so interesting. And it shows footage of him like just out there holding the camera, like running with the Jews while they're trying to flee the Nazis and stuff, and. It's just so cool to see him doing something so guerrilla when he could have just,
Hmm.
he has all the money in the world to do something.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it probably
Yeah.
actually really added the feeling to the movie.
It did, yeah. That's exactly what he was going for. Is he wanted it to feel real, and to feel like they were there with them. And he just knew that him doing it in the typical studio way wasn't going to cut it. He just has this fantastic eye, and watching it, you're reminded and you understand why he's, the most iconic director, at least still alive and working today. And yeah, just a wonderful, really interesting story. It's 2.5 hours long, and I didn't get bored of it once.
Mm.
Um, and Yeah, just super inspiring. And what was I going to say? You can watch it on Internet Archives, which is a free website, not an illegal website, that just like kind of tries to store some historical stuff in the public domain. And for some reason, that documentary is put into the public
Yeah,
domain.
I've accessed this website a few times.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That documentary for some reason was put into the public domain really early. Maybe Spielberg just wanted people to be able to see it for free, so you can watch it on that for free in good quality. So,
Hmm.
um, no reason not to really. For any movie buff, I'd highly recommend because just you're seeing someone's journey who definitely started from he didn't start from any position of privilege and just made his way to the very, very
Hmm.
top. And it's very, very inspiring. Yeah.
I get why people are a bit judgmental. It's like the basic choice, Steven Spielberg, but you can't deny he made the classics.
You can't deny he made the classics. His story is really inspiring, and the documentary is just
Yeah,
made so well that I just say anyone who's like an aspiring filmmaker, especially a movie director, I would
of
just recommend
course.
watching it for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, any more recommendations from you?
Yeah, I got another one. I've got a YouTube channel and it's
Sweet.
called All or Nothing with
Mhm.
Billy Moore.
Billy
So
Moore.
Billy Moore is an interesting guy. He used to be an addict living on the streets. And he's fully
Mm.
recovered. He's worked with actors and things like that. I believe he's worked with actors to like help them when they're playing roles that are like to do with drug abuse and things like that.
All right.
Um, Essentially, he goes around various towns and cities in the UK, and tries to speak to people and figure out the real issues, because a lot of people don't really understand, and a lot of people, we're very much focused. I won't get too political, but we're very much focused on other countries' issues rather than our own. We've got our
Yeah,
own
I hear that.
homeless, our own addicts. You see them every day. I'm sure you see them every day. You know,
Of
people
course.
from our country. I say ours. You know, you belong here as well. So
Yeah.
that are just on the streets, and he tries to speak to them. He tries to get a feel for the towns and cities, talk to people, see why it's declining, because it's no great myth that it's a declining country and the towns and cities are declining. um
This guy is British.
he is, yeah, he's a
Yeah, yeah.
scouser.
Mm.
And yeah, he just gives you the real news basically from first hand from real people. So
Mm.
it's, yeah, super interesting, quite depressing, but yeah.
Yeah, informative. Yeah, yeah, and important stuff.
Mm,
Um, which is great to hear, especially from a YouTube channel.
of course.
Do you know any of the? I know I'm probably focusing on the wrong things, but do you know any of the actors who have worked with him?
I saw one
As you
guy
mentioned.
because he did a video in Soho the other day, and this actor approached him.
Ah,
Trying to think of who it was.
hmm.
Couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
That's all right. Yeah, yeah, I was
Yeah,
just curious. But yeah, sounds like a wonderful channel. His name is Billy Moore.
Billy Moore. Yeah,
Moore.
yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, definitely. Check out his stuff. And the worst joke came into my head. But you said he used to live on the streets because you said he was Billy on the streets.
Hey,
That's it. Sweet. Yeah, my final recommendation is Companion. You heard about this movie?
no.
Fantastic. If you remember ages ago, I would say maybe when we first started doing the podcast, I recommended a horror film called Barbarian.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, it's the same creative team behind that. It's not quite a horror film. It has horror elements to it. I'd probably call it more of like adventure slash thriller,
Mm,
like an erotic thriller is what it is more so. But I went into this movie pretty blind. Apparently, there's a trailer that gives away a twist in the movie. So I would recommend that anybody interested in this film don't watch any trailers. Um, Thankfully, I only saw a really vague trailer that didn't give anything away. But basically, this guy is taking his girlfriend on a trip to meet his his close friends, and she's really nervous about the trip. And they're in like this gorgeous lake house in the middle of nowhere. Sounds like a pretty basic setup for a horror movie and a thriller, but where it goes from there is so
mm,
unexpected.
sweet.
It's super well done, twists and turns throughout. The cast is fantastic. The script was like it's like you can never guess where it's going to go next, but it's also kind of funny. It's a really interesting vibe going on. And it was such an interesting follow up to Barbarian for that team because it's Barbarian was a super scary movie. This movie's not as scary as it is just like the topics it covers are really interesting and it does it in a really nuanced and refreshing way. But I
Mm,
don't really want to say any. If I said any topic, I'll give away
mm-hmm.
what makes the movie so interesting. But yeah, I would recommend going into Companion completely blind, and
Nice.
you'll be the most satisfied that way for sure. Yeah, really, really wonderful movie, and a solid. This January was really good for movies, which is rare.
It is
January's
rare.
usually,
Yeah.
yeah, right. January's usually where they like just dump stuff that they don't know what to do with, they don't care about,
Mm-hmm.
and you can usually tell in the quality of the film it just sucks. Wasn't the case for a lot of movies this month. It was actually a really, really solid.
Good.
January was a really solid month for movies. Yeah. Um, but yeah, that's all the recommendations I have. Shall we move on over to the questions then?
Let's do it.
We wrap this bad boy up. Three questions this week actually. The first one is my favorite. We had to tackle this one immediately. Is a girl named Soph, just Soph, says, "You're cute. Come and you're cute. You're spelled your. come and check me out on my channel, and then left a link on their channel, which I found interesting because if you leave a link on an Instagram question thing, you can't copy
Oh,
and paste it.
that was silly.
Yeah, I did
Right.
try. Um, Now the one thing I'm very interested in is that she said you're cute
Yeah.
to the Instagram page.
Who is she
Lemon.
addressing? Now that's the real question.
What my theory is that she's just attracted to the podcast,
Oh, all right. Okay.
right?
So gender neutral. Yeah.
She's only, she's only attracted to us as a duo talking about The Simpsons, not separately.
That's
Yeah.
fair. I mean, we can agree to that. That's fine.
We can agree to that. Because otherwise she would have messaged you or me privately. She messaged the podcast this.
Mm.
But yeah, as I said, you can't copy and paste it, so I just had to type everything out um manually onto my Safari. And if anyone knows how to report bank fraud, please let me know.
Mm. That yeah,
Yeah.
that would be useful. Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you very much for that question, Sophie, and or Soph, sorry, as you like to be called, and I'm really looking forward to hearing back from you. The next question comes from Dara O'Connor, a lovely Irish comedian buddy of mine.
Darren O'Connor.
Dara O'Connor, the most Irish name possible,
Darren O'Connor.
and and he asked not a very Irish question. An interesting question is: Are you down for the voice actors being replaced when they get too old? Good question.
Depends. It all depends. Being replaced by AI? Hell no.
No, 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 of
Being
course not.
replaced by someone extremely accurate
Yes.
or a child of theirs? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'd be more inclined to someone extremely accurate than just nepotism, unless the person
Yeah.
actually, unless their kid actually does a great voice.
Of course. Yeah.
Um, but I'm not against it solely for the fact that I follow a lot of stuff on a lot of Simpsons fan pages and stuff like that on YouTube, and I'm seeing many people kind of like try their hand at, you know, a lot of the lead cast are quite old. I think the only person who's not in his 70s. No, sorry, Hank Azaria is in like his late 50s. Dan Castellaneta, who voices Homer, is only in his early 60s, I think. So they're both young enough that they'll probably keep doing it for a while. Actually, same with Yarly Smith, I believe. She's only in her 50s, who voices Lisa. But the other leads are quite old. Harry Shearer, who voices Mr. Burns, I know is the oldest. He's like going into his 80s. And Julie Kavner, who voices Marge, is like in her mid 70s. Um, and you can tell from her voice acting on the show currently that she's on the way out,
Of course.
unfortunately. Um, my point being, there's a lot of people on YouTube already kind of gunning to take their parts because they see that that's going to happen
Of
eventually.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who are really good. Um, so I'm not against it because I've seen people who really put the work in, clearly care about the show, and want, love the characters and want to do the voices perfectly. Um, so I think if it goes to anybody, it should be those guys, like these die-hard fans who like put the work in.
Mm.
Don't just give it to some voice actor who's already working in Hollywood or something. Give it to these guys because you can tell they care about the show and being pitch perfect
Absolutely.
to, yeah, and being pitch perfect to the
And
original
they'll probably take
voice
a
actors.
cheaper paycheck.
I'm sure they will because the people working on the show currently are established voice actors who've been working on the biggest animated series for, 35 years.
Yeah.
So whatever contract they're in now is obviously deep within, their trusted brand in 20th Century Fox. But um, I'm I'm understanding of the prospect that it's just something's going to happen eventually. I'd rather it over ending the show personally, so I would say I'm not against it. It's a
Mm.
cartoon. It's obviously different if it's a live action show, but if you
Mm.
if you have somebody who does the voice perfectly, why not? I would say
Exactly.
Hank Azaria, or sorry, not Hank Azaria, because he's actually quite young. Harry Shearer realistically would have to be replaced by a few people because his voices are so diverse. Like he does Principal Skinner, Mr. Burns, Reverend Lovejoy, um, Lenny, like just to say even those four very distinctly different voices.
Hmm.
I would doubt you'd be able to find somebody who could do all of those voices perfectly, like one guy. Realistically, I would say you'd need a few people to
Oh
replace.
yeah.
Yeah, but it's the biggest animated series in the world, probably. They're owned by Disney. They have a big budget. They can afford to pay a few more voice
Mm.
actors. Um, Look, it remains to be seen. Hopefully, it won't happen anytime soon. I mean, smaller parts of the show have been replaced. Like Martin isn't the same person anymore. Martin Prince. Um, I think there's somebody else. Oh, the person who voiced Millhouse left the show recently. She's not dead. She just left the show, so he's going to be replaced pretty soon. So it'll be interesting to hear. Will that be noticeable? 'Cause that's probably the most major character that's about to be replaced for the first time. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
that'll be interesting. That probably won't be until like late into season 36, but yeah, I'm intrigued by that for sure. But yeah, my answer is it's just a necessary evil that will have to happen eventually. No one can live forever. If if you get super old, those voices are going to be hard to do, because they're very energetic, you know, manic characters that, there's probably going to be a point where they'll have to retire. So I'm not against it. Yeah, long-winded answer, but it is something that I think about a lot. So um, felt worthy of addressing. And finally, hello, Mr. Thompson, a fantastic artist who does like all these really great like moving visuals on Instagram. He asked us a few questions in the past. Um, but he must know of my fondness for Principal Skinner because he asked favorite Principal Skinner episode.
Oh, fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. Oof. I'll let you go first for that one.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it really um until reading it just there, just so it'd be in the moment. But like if I was to say like, moments, my favorite Principal Skinner moment has to be Steamed Hams. Um,
Yeah, fair.
I love his relationship with Superintendent Chalmers, so I think that would have to be up there. But if I'd say like that's obviously that's not a Principal Skinner episode. If I was to say my favorite Principal Skinner episode, it would probably be the show's 100 episode. Um, it's called Sweet Seymour Skinner's Badass Song. And it's the one where
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know the one, yeah, it's the one where Bart gets him fired, and he feels bad and starts spending time with Principal Skinner outside of the school, and they form like a friendship. That one's so great and like develops their relationship in a really nice way. And there's a really beautiful moment at the end where he gets the job back and he knows that he has to go back to being strict on Bart and they can't be friends anymore, even though he had grown fond of him, but he just
Mhm.
has to go back to being a strict principal, obviously. And like that episode touches on his time in Vietnam and stuff as well. So it feels like a really important episode for him. And obviously his most important relationship on the show would be his one with Bart. So yeah, if I had to say one, I would say that one. And then a close second, I would put the one we reviewed recently, Grade School Confidential, where he starts dating
Yes,
Edna.
that's a
That's a
great
great,
one. Yeah.
yeah, it's a great
I
like
would,
victory moment for Principal Skinner as well, which is
yeah.
rare.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say perhaps the PTA disbands
that was so good too. Yeah,
episode from
totally.
season six.
Mm,
Classic one.
so good.
It's him at his best, really. Him in his
Yeah, absolutely.
tragic self. Yeah, that's probably
So
what I'd go
tragic.
for.
Yeah, it's fair. I would also just get in my head there. I would closely put that episode I mentioned a couple of times this podcast that I love from season. I think it was season 32, where him and Chalmers go on a road
Yeah,
trip
yeah, of
together,
course.
and none of the family play like integral parts in it. It's just an episode about Skinner and Chalmers. That one's also absolutely fantastic and a very very different episode.
Mm.
So yeah, one of my favorite character outside of the family, and just one of the best characters on the show in general. Yeah, cool. I think that's pretty much everything.
Yeah, smashed it. Welcome
Yeah,
back.
absolutely. Thank you guys for your patience. This sort of Zoom version of the podcast is probably something that we'll be doing for a while now. Bear with us on figuring out the practicalities of it. There's going to be a few mistakes in this podcast. Um, but that was just bound to happen the first time around. We'll iron out the errors next time and figure it
Of
out. But
course, yeah.
they were only small, minor mistakes. So thank you all for your patience on that. But yeah, that's pretty
Yeah,
much it.
yeah, it's been a pleasure.
You too, buddy.
Yeah,
See
take
y'all
care.
real soon.
See y'all
Peace out.
soon. Bye.
Bye.